Over the years, I have met countless men who sincerely wanted to improve their relationships and reconnect with their partners but simply didn't know how. What I want to explain is this: there are certain areas of a woman's body where touch carries emotional meaning far beyond the physical. When approached with care, patience, and awareness, these moments of connection can create a powerful sense of proximity and trust. And surprisingly, the places that matter most are often not the ones people think. Before we dive deeper, it is important to understand something fundamental about women and touch. For many women, especially those in midlife and beyond, physical contact is deeply tied to emotional experience. Touch is rarely interpreted as just touch. Whenever a man reaches out to a woman, her nervous system instinctively asks several questions. Am I safe? Am I truly seen? Does he genuinely care about me? If those answers feel reassuring, her body naturally relaxes, and emotional openness follows. If uncertainty or emotional distance is present, she may withdraw, not because love is absent, but because emotional self-protection is deeply wired into human behavior. Meet Jessica, 58 years old and married for 31 years. She once told me something unforgettable: I don't need perfection from him. I just need him to slow down enough to truly feel me, not simply touch me. That single statement captures the heart of the entire lesson. Now let's move into the heart of it: 7 places that can completely transform the way your partner experiences closeness and connection with you. The first is the back of the neck, right where the hairline begins. This area is often overlooked, yet it holds a tremendous amount of stored tension. After a long day of managing responsibilities, stress, family pressures, and constant mental demands, many women carry that emotional weight right there. When a woman feels overwhelmed or emotionally distant, the tension frequently settles at the base of the neck. The key is not to approach it forcefully or like you're trying to fix her. Instead, use a very gentle touch. Just a few fingertips, moving slowly, with almost no pressure at all. What matters is warmth, calmness, and genuine presence. That kind of touch can trigger a physical and emotional shift. Her nervous system begins to relax, her breathing softens, and stress levels start to lower. At the same time, oxytocin, the hormone connected to trust, comfort, and emotional bonding, begins to increase. Many people refer to oxytocin as the bonding hormone, and for good reason. Gentle contact around the neck can encourage feelings of safety and closeness very quickly. She may not verbally respond. Sometimes she simply becomes quiet or subtly leans into the touch. That silence is not indifference. Often, it is her body responding with trust and acceptance. The second place is the inner thigh near the knee, well away from more intimate areas. The exact placement is important here. This is about the softer area near the inside of the knee, approached respectfully and without rushing. For many women, touch in this area can feel emotionally significant because it communicates closeness without expectation or pressure. The feeling comes not from intensity, but from calmness and restraint. The rhythm matters most, slow and relaxed, as though there is nowhere else to be and no urgency attached to the moment. Many women describe this kind of patient, respectful touch as deeply intimate because of the emotional message behind it. Without saying anything aloud, it communicates. I want to be close to you, but I'm not demanding anything from you. I'm simply here with you. In long-term relationships, especially later in life, that kind of reassurance and emotional patience can feel profoundly meaningful. The third place is the hands, especially the palms and fingers. At first, that might sound too simple. Holding hands hardly seems like some hidden relationship insight. But there's an important distinction between casually grabbing someone's hand and holding it with real care and attention. A woman's hands are closely tied to how she nurtures, creates, comforts, and connects with the people around her. Because of that, intentional touch there can carry surprisingly deep emotional meaning. The next time you are together, whether you're watching television, sitting quietly, or sharing coffee, try holding her hand differently. Instead of a quick squeeze, slowly move your thumb across her palm or gently trace each finger one at a time. There is no need to hurry. The point is simply to be present in the moment. Research from McGill University has suggested that slow, intentional touch on the hands can activate neural responses associated with emotional reassurance and connection. In simple terms, thoughtful touch can communicate appreciation and emotional presence just as powerfully as spoken words. Sometimes your hands express care more clearly than language ever could. The fourth place is the small area just beneath the jawline, right behind the ear. This is one of the most ignored areas, which is partly what makes it so meaningful. It is sensitive and rarely touched except during moments of genuine closeness. Because it requires physical nearness and focused attention, touching this area gently can create a strong emotional effect. A light brush of the fingertips there, soft and unhurried, can send two messages at once. Physically, it can create a calming sensation because of the concentration of nerve endings in that area. Emotionally, it communicates attentiveness. It says, "I notice you. I'm paying attention to the little things." Many women experience this type of touch as deeply personal because it feels caring rather than demanding. It creates a sense of being emotionally recognized and valued. And in long-term relationships, feeling truly seen by a partner is often one of the strongest emotional needs. One important thing to remember is patience. If she doesn't immediately respond or lean into the touch, that's okay. Areas associated with vulnerability often require trust and emotional safety. Consistency, gentleness, and patience matter far more than intensity. The fifth place is the lower back, specifically the gentle curve between the waist and the hips. This part of the body acts as a physical center of support. It carries tension, posture, movement, and strength, yet in many relationships it's rarely touched with intentional care. When a man places his hand softly on a woman's lower back, especially while standing close behind her, her brain can interpret that contact as reassurance and stability. It creates a quiet sense of support, almost like a nonverbal message saying, "I'm here for you. I've got you." The important thing is that this gesture should never feel controlling or possessive. Its power comes from calmness, warmth, and emotional safety. It allows a woman to relax because the touch feels grounding rather than demanding. Think about the last time you simply stood close to your partner and rested your hand on her lower back without distraction or expectation. No rushing, no agenda, no attempt to lead anywhere else, just closeness for its own sake. If it has been a long time, that alone says something important. Try doing it again, not as a technique, but as a sincere act of connection. Stand near her, place your hand there gently, and stay present in the moment. Let her feel that being close to her is enough. The sixth and perhaps most unexpected place is the lower abdomen, around and just below the navel. Many people overlook this area completely, or they only touch it in ways that immediately suggest physical escalation. But approached differently, it can carry deep emotional significance. This region is closely connected to the body's emotional regulation system through dense nerve pathways associated with calmness, vulnerability, and emotional awareness. When touched slowly and respectfully, the experience often feels less about physical sensation and more about emotional trust. It can create the feeling of being cared for at a very deep level. I often describe it this way to couples: imagine holding something deeply valuable and fragile. You wouldn't rush, grab, or handle it carelessly. You would move with patience, gentleness, and full attention. That is the spirit behind this type of touch, a warm hand resting softly on the lower abdomen with absolutely no urgency attached to it. What this communicates goes beyond words. It says, "I trust you, and I want you to feel safe with me too." When a woman truly feels that emotional sincerity, her response comes not from technique but from authenticity and trust. The seventh place is the area between the shoulder blades. You can think of this spot as symbolic of the emotional burdens she carries. It is an area she cannot easily reach herself, and emotionally it often represents the invisible pressure many women hold inside. When a woman becomes emotionally guarded or distant, that tension can show up physically in this part of the body. Again, this is not about giving an intense massage. The real power comes from simplicity. Resting your hand there gently, steady, warm, and calm, can communicate something deeper than words. That small gesture can silently say, "You are not alone. I'm here with you. You don't have to carry everything by yourself." I once worked with a couple in Dallas, Texas, who were both recently retired and in their early 60s. Although they spent every day together, emotionally they felt disconnected. The husband, John, started doing one simple thing each evening. When his wife stood in the kitchen after dinner, he would quietly walk behind her and place his hand between her shoulder blades for a few moments. No speeches, no dramatic gestures, just calm presence. A few weeks later, his wife told me, "I don't know exactly what's changed, but I finally feel like he's emotionally present again." That's the quiet emotional impact this kind of touch can have. So, when we bring everything together, the 7 places are the back of the neck, the space between the shoulder blades, the hands, the area behind the ear, the inner leg near the knee, the lower back, and the lower abdomen. None of these are mysterious or complicated. What matters is the intention behind them: patience, attentiveness, and emotional presence. As relationships grow older and life becomes busier, many couples slowly stop reaching toward one another in these small ways. Not necessarily because love disappears, but because routine takes over. People become distracted or tired or assume their partner already knows how they feel. But emotional distance is often felt physically before it is understood mentally. Many women begin to feel lonely not because their partner is absent, but because the small forms of affection and attentive touch gradually disappear. The feeling of being noticed fades. Now meet my friend William, 67 years old and convinced that after 35 years of marriage, emotional distance was simply inevitable. I asked him a simple question: when was the last time you touched your wife with no expectation of getting something back? After thinking for a while, he admitted he couldn't remember. That realization became the turning point. He began making small changes, nothing dramatic. One evening he gently touched the back of his wife's neck while she was reading. No speech, no hidden motive, just quiet affection. She looked up and smiled at him in a way he hadn't seen in years. A couple of months later, he returned and told me his wife had said, "I feel like you've come back to me." That transformation didn't happen because of tricks or techniques. It came from consistent, thoughtful, respectful presence. The deeper issue in many long-term relationships is not the absence of love. It is the loss of emotional communication through touch. Not rushed or distracted contact, but slow, genuine gestures that silently say, "I see you. I'm here with you. You matter to me." Especially later in life, many women respond less to intensity and more to attentiveness. They respond to feeling noticed, valued, and emotionally held in the small moments. Sometimes the most meaningful kind of touch is simply the one that feels unhurried, as though there is nowhere else in the world you would rather be.